outside perspective, I'm so defiant. Before wife and my seeds, I was self-reliant, thinking all I ever needed was my help to buy in. But now, suns don't shine until I rise up. Make sure the sky is safe to open eyes up. Funny when you find what it takes to realize the power inside multiplies when unified. But to get rid of that need to believe in me, truly feeling unleashed, feeding the will in me. Time to finish the mission we have received, that we never need to question the fire, there is no chill in me. Message at the head of the letter, whoever is concerned, wanna watch the obstacle burn, step in my office. Ever since I banished my demon, I'm feeling all the room. Look around the rulers and ghouls, but we are monsters. Start to say prayers every single time you would pull back lands, cause what you find when unprepared is quite the opposite of ostentatious, often sacred cause it gets lost in faces, can't ignore it. If you really want to explore, just be sure cause it's raw, not to waste it, cause you can imagine what it costs to make it. But now, to get rid of that need to believe in me, truly feeling unleashed, feeding the will in me. Time to finish the mission we have received, that we never need to question the fire, there is no chill in me. Message at the head of the letter, whoever is concerned, wanna watch the obstacle burn, step in my office. Ever since I banished my demon, I'm feeling all the room. Look around the room and see ghouls, but we are monsters.
Philosophie
into interaction design was, it was not this one, but I built HyperCard software. Who is remembering HyperCard? Yes, thank you, Guillaume. So that was basically like a website and a PowerPoint presentation program. So you could build games. So I did my first program there. And Tim Berners-Lee, who invented the web, took this HyperCard, hypertext links concept to the web. It was first introduced by Ted Nelson, the concept of hypertext, allowing you to jump from one page to another. Then HyperCard kind of popularized it, and then the web push it even further. And if you think of the hypertext link, it's such a missing opportunity that it's not bi-directional. Because when you publish a website, you make a link to someone, to some other pages. The other pages doesn't have to accept the link, nor reject the link, nor even know that the link exists. And when you have relation databases and two-way relationship, then the link is really too simple to survive. But that's one of the key concepts. I think that's why the web went so far, because it was simple. You don't have to have these both relations, and this is precisely why it won over the other technologies. And when you think of HyperCard, which is really like a proprietary solutions versus the open web technologies, it's always this fight between Flash and what you can do with JavaScript and CSS animation API, what you used to do with applet Java, and maybe that will be also the fight between the native apps and progressive web apps. So all the web enthusiasts, they try to push hard to have the same experience you have with a proprietary solutions to implement open standards. We have still those books in the office if you want to check after. But I went through this book recently, and some of the designs came really old now, and it's nothing really relevant today. But there are examples that really look like today's websites and modern websites. So with this CSS animations and JavaScript library allowing us to have really rich experience. If you think about it, we were ahead of our time with Flash sites, and now it's getting back today. And I don't know if you heard about Houdini or WebAssembly or what's the progressive web apps are going to be. This is the Houdini websites to check is it Houdini ready yet? And you have the different browser and their attempt to implement some of the part of Houdini. And it's really encouraging. Of course, it's going a bit slowly, like always. But what it will allow us is really incredible. Act 2, we'll have an accessible web. I'm sure you agree. It's really like the theme of the 3-4 last years. People understand that the web is for everyone, and we need accessibility all the way. I mean accessibility the way you're thinking about it, but also technically, without JavaScript, and with wget. Someone doesn't know what it is? Okay. So it's a command line program to fetch a website. And this is basically a way to take a website offline. This is part of the accessibility for me, because you need this to work in order to have accessible internet. And also accessible to build. When I started doing websites, the show source button was really like gold to me, because I see a good web page, I go to see the source, all this code in all those tables and frames, but anyway, I get deep into this and understand how it works. And now I understand the preprocessors and JavaScript compilers, their role and what they allow the developers today. But it's such a like an essential pillar to the web to have access to the sources and to retry and build. Another accessibility issue is I have a friend of mine who had an app ID. I said he's a bit into, he had an IT background, so he wanted to build it himself. I said yeah, sure, just try. And he said what are the common practice today? And I said yeah, you have this, I don't know, Symfony or JavaScript ecosystem. And after a weekend, he said I even try to download a package manager and there was a really high barrier to just try something and try an ID. So we need to increase the accessibility of being able to the people to build and publish content and apps to the web. If you think about it, the way I learned HTML was magazines, like paper magazines, after with a floppy disk and after with CDs. And now there's a lot of resources online, courses. GitHub also offers a lot to try to understand and how different language works. And there's this Beaker browser I will talk about later, whose vision is to allow web without a server, and also to decrease the barrier of being able to publish something on the web. So that's key to the web. I love this accessibility to publish. Also, in this accessibility theme, there's also this forgiveness of the browser. So it helps embrace the chaos. If you misspell a color, or if you don't close a tag, or if you misspell something in your CSS, the browser will just ignore it and forgive you and try to display a page at its best. And that's core to how the web is accessible. Another theme is the resilient web. So last weekend, I went to my parents, and my mother, she has an iPhone 3GS. I know, an iPhone 6 years without throwing it away. That's crazy. So she asked me that why the weather, like the weather app, didn't work anymore. So I tried, and there was an error, not really user-friendly error, about the Yahoo Weather API not supported anymore. So I said, well, this is why I love the web. There should be a website that you can add to your home screen and have the weather. And that was, yes, another argument for the winning open web. But no, because most of the weather websites just crash Safari on the iPhone. So there's no other browser choices on the App Store. So she's stuck to just open the computer or teletext to have the weather. And if you think about it, this is just a 6-year-old iPhone, so it's not like dinosaurs or whatever. But she could not update it and not having more application or even browse the web. So for me, it's the way I hate obsolescence and how I love the theoretical resilience of the web. So HTML and CSS are really think that way about resilience. If it doesn't understand, then it should ignore it. JavaScript also, they try to make this retrocompatibility the more they can. They have this rule that today browsers can display website from CERN, and the other way around, one of the first browser can display today's websites. But of course, we broke this rule. It's so tempting to have this JavaScript to scroll jacking the page. And, but let's try to avoid those situations, and just, if we add something that will break this rule, then why not writing it down? So saying, okay, maybe you have a too old iPhone and you need to upgrade to see the weather. No, seriously, try to explain in this NoScript tags. The NoScript tag shows the content when you don't have JavaScript. And there's also this unobstructive JavaScript that just, it's so easy to implement, but it's nowhere now on the web. And yeah, maybe people think it's not that easy to implement, but if you start with this concept, it's easy. So you just say, by default, there's no JavaScript. And then you had the JavaScript that had JS instead of Node.js. And then you could change the way the CSS is written, and also for every JavaScript API you use, you have to check first if it's supported before throwing an error. We all love a fast web, of course. It's so good to forget that data is traveling the world, and we make it faster by tons of performance optimizations. Also, that's a real subject now, and the way we build the images, the code, the caching server techniques, etc. But the problem here, I think, is we have to rethink the way we implemented it every time the standards evolve. So with HTTP1, we put a huge CSS file all together because we want to lower the number of queries. But in HTTP2, it's better to have a specific CSS for every page or every component on the page. So the main thing about performance is forgetting what we did yesterday, see the new implementation, and learn and unlearn when a new implementation comes. And also, sometimes the data is already here, and there are lots of things happening now in offline first approach or offline performance approach. With service workers, of course, this new API that is so widely supported and so progressive enhanced at its design that we could use it now. And yeah, I remember maybe 4 or 5 years ago I heard about Hoodie. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's a offline first and no backend approach. That led to better performance because you have everything happening offline, and you don't require a connection. Yeah, of course, sometimes to update or get new data, but everything is working offline. And that would be part of the gift today, because I think this book is great. You should read it. And it's about the service workers and progressive web apps. And Jeremy Kate is insisting on that progressive web apps are not only for apps. There's also this concept of HTTP as the service workers and a manifest are also for websites, and they gain performances with this. And also, it's the implementation of the API of service workers is quite straightforward. And because the strategy you have to cache file or do this man-in-the-middle proxy on your web page, it's quite different in every website. So of course, there would be a library to abstract this layer, but you really should consider not using a library and coding your service workers by hand and really following the strategy of your website. We all love a distributed web. Or do we have a distributed web? Not really. Who's using Gmail? Yeah. So email should be distributed technology, but we all use the same provider. Yeah. So I can say in the different concepts, that's the one we lost the most, I think. Now it's always SaaS, third-party scripts, loading on your web page. And the main actors are everywhere, and it's hard to not using them. And when it failed, internet is down. I don't know if you remember March 2017, but there was a bug in the S3 rebooting. I don't know exactly what, but like every main website we use was just down. And I think that's not the internet I love, the web I love. I prefer this distributed or decentralized web. And I think it's okay to feed the web monster with more data, but sometimes just consider the other options and try to follow the initiative or support the initiatives that are going against it. And I don't know if you heard about this DAT protocol. Who heard about this? Nobody? Okay. You should go to this Beaker browser. It's a browser that implements this DAT protocol, which is a peer-to-peer web protocol. So the idea is like serverless. So I open the browser and I say like, oh, I want to start a website. It creates a HTML page and just push my content, and it's already online through this DAT protocol. So it's hosted on my browser on my machine, and when another person goes to this website, is also it's also coming a server too. So it's like the peer-to-peer works. And there's also the Solid project from Tim Berners-Lee, who tries to decentralize the data and helping people to gain ownership of the data. You should really try this browser. It's really like, it's the beginning. There are like many projects that try to do that with blockchain and etc. But this is not with blockchain, and it's better without, I think, for this. But yeah, it's easy. Just download the browser and try it. Like host your website on your computer and just change the DNS to their DAT hash. It's not on mobile. It's just on desktop. But yeah, give it a try. We love a diverse web, getting away from monoculture. And of course, I had this GIF on my website because I don't know if you remember, but browser wars have been there since the beginning of the web. So for the newcomers, not dinosaurs, IE4 was so good that we want to forget Netscape. And I think developers helped the world to accept this Internet Explorer dominance. And then they really, it was a shame that we did that, because after it was more than 95% of users on Internet Explorer, and then the web kind of stuck in a winter of no new innovation, and that was really bad. And we are living this again. I don't know if you realized. this is the browser timeline history. So it's diverse, but now it's getting narrowed because everyone is using the same engine. For a bit of perspective, you had 7 browsers to browse 22 websites. Would be nice to have this ratio. Of course, not for testing, but for the good of the web, I think that would be nice. So please get away from this monopoly. I don't know, there are 6 different engines. Can anyone cite one of them? Do you know 6 different browser engines? Not like, because Chrome, Opera, Edge are using the same engine. They're using the Blink engine from Chrome. Hmm? What's your source? Because okay, but yeah, so it's dying because there won't be any more. But yeah, right, you're right. No, there's WebKit, there's Blink, there's Gecko, that's the main. There's Servo, which is another Mozilla initiative. There's Goanna, also Mozilla, and there's NetSurf. Yeah, I know there are just 6, but yeah, and there are people thinking the same. Okay. There's IndieWeb movement. I don't know if you heard about it. Taking back the power to the web and the diversity. They are just like tired of Facebook and Twitter, and they say you should also publish your own websites and own your data, and contributing to this new social media standards that are activity, pub, and web mentions, for instance, that let the different social media interact with each other and take a bit down this monopoly. So I read this tweet a few days ago, and no, please, don't do that. It's not the web I like. We love that the web is empowering people. So yeah, I kind of returned the concept, you'll see. This was my personal website in 2002, I think. I don't know if you remember pop-ups, but they were so great. As a developer perspective or a designer perspective, you could say, I want to open this window, exactly this size, positioned this way. And that was like great technology. And you could interact with the different windows with JavaScript, easy. And from a user perspective, pop-ups were just ads coming and popping every time you just like leave a site. There's a pop-up coming saying, hey, you should, I don't know, click here. So, well, on the website, I used it a lot. Yeah, seriously. Didn't change a bit. So you open different pop-ups and to browse the project. And then came this Google toolbar for IE6, I guess, that has this nice feature. They were fighting advertisement at that time. And they just killed the technology. I mean, it's still working, but yeah. So it's a perspective questions, because I think marketing people just close this amazing web technology by abusing it. Or we could say the people get the power back by choosing the browser that was blocking pop-ups. So that's a way that people were just saying to the developers, to the ads sector, and to browser that they don't want those pop-ups anymore. And I'm curious what the browser will respond to this accept cookies everywhere, every time. And I'm sure if a new browser comes and say like, with us, you just say for the whole web if you accept or not. And also the ad blockers, that will be also a game changer, I think. It's already there, but yeah, not really popular yet. We also have an open web, and as open, I think standards that allow developers, designers, users to have some latitude on a new technology, a room for creativity. So the standard that let the people change it or use it differently. And if you think of RSS, who is using RSS yet? Yes, 2. Okay. So that was really a thing. They add the button on Safari, which is, you know how Apple is really late on the web. So they just came back with a new version of Safari saying like, now you can subscribe to RSS. And the way the standard was open, it allows to have these enclosed tags, and now you could use RSS for podcasts or for distributing other kind of multimedia content. And that was not really thought at the beginning of RSS. So that's the way the open standard just changed. Who's using podcasts? So you're using RSS too? And yeah, of course, for a while it was like huge, and then it came back. Yeah. I have to have this name on the presentation, sorry. We also love an evolving web. There was another so good technology that were frames, frame set. I use it a lot, and you don't have to reload the page. It's so fast. I had this tweet like a few weeks ago, so really funny for me. But so it was responsive by design. They gave better performance to websites because you don't have to load the menu on every pages. It was also fun to play with, and I think the coming implementation of CSS has killed a bit the frames, because we could use this absolute positioning of the menu to keep it floating on the left or on the right. The mobile also killed frames forever. Who doesn't know what frames is? Okay. You don't know. So for Gilles, who is building websites for 20 years, so it was a way to portion the page in two, from a side to another side, and then there was frames. So the frame set says you couldn't, for instance, this, you have 3 columns. One is 20%, one is all the rest of the space. Something we know. And then 20%. And then you have a center home with the nav on the left and ads on the right. And when you click on the link on every of the page, you could specify the targets of the frames. So when I click on the link, it opens here or on the global state. And yeah, we have to let the web evolve. That's okay. It's nice to remember frames, but nostalgia doesn't really work for the web, I think. It's good to have a museum, to have somewhere to just go dive and see how sweet it was, but yeah. The layout systems really evolved a lot those years. And since the content is still a liquid element, take this place in the medium, that's okay. Already the last concept. I love a playful web. And what I find fun and playful is like solving solution not the way it should be. Yeah, that's fun. So there's this website I designed for a LAN party a few years ago. And this is pixel art, also like really old concept. And you have this like two borders colors. So of course I use tables to do that. And there was this folded corner. And I say, maybe I shouldn't use an image for it, because that's another HTTP request. So let's build a table without images, just specifying the background color. And then, boom, that's the result. It's not really an optimization, in fact, because there's more bytes here than on the GIF. But that was fun to try, at least.
You could encode in base 64.
Sorry?
You could encode the image in base 64.
Yeah. But I didn't know base 64 that time. But yeah, of course, that's something I could do. And also, a few years later, like rounded corners didn't exist, really. Wasn't implemented yet. But every designers, they were doing rounded corners. And so we had this JavaScript library to round the corners. So I'm not really ashamed, because it was progressive enhancement. If you support this border radius, then it won't load the JavaScript. And then there's this new implementation supported everywhere of border radius. And then we came to flat design. No more rounded corner. But yeah, it was fun to find solutions to build a web page and push the... yeah, we know that these standards are getting implemented, and we can't wait to play with it. So we try to polyfill, try another way to push boundaries a bit and make the standards move quickly. So it's enthusiasm, but we always can't wait using a new feature. And yeah, that was the thing with the border radius. So I'm at the end of the 10 points, 10 concepts. The way we shape the web, the way we learn to unlearn, and always try to understand what's the underlying abstraction layer, what's the underlying basic concept, before jumping too quickly to abstraction, and understand how it works before using libraries to abstract it. And also, of course, keep the core value. So if you don't agree with those 10s, that's just my 10s concept that made me love the web. I'm sure Kevin will welcome, well, the WebMardi team will welcome a new speaker to have 10 more or 10 others. Voila. Thank you. Copyrights.
Any question?
I have one about the DAT protocol. When has it been created? Because I never heard about it. And it was like 10 years ago or 5 months ago? Not the exact year.
Yeah, maybe 3 years. I heard of it. There's a really nice talk about this. We should just remove the backend to lower the barrier of creating content and publishing content. And there's, I think, 2 guys. One invented this DAT protocol, and the other one said, like, if you want people to use it, you need a browser that implements it. So they took the Chrome engine, and they had this support to DAT protocol. And it's really fun to play with, because, and it's totally, you could you could use the browser with HTTPS and DAT. And because there are many new protocol propositions, but Mozilla, they said instead of implementing directly DAT protocol, they have a new initiative, I don't know where they are in that, to open the protocol. So saying if Firefox plugin wants to add a new support to a new protocol to Firefox, then it allows it. So the answer of Firefox to DAT initiative is yes, welcome. Just start by doing a plugin, and we'll see how it works. And so I think it's coming to Firefox also in a few years, depending on you.
Well, there's also a question. If you could come back 20 years ago or 10 years ago, what could you still do because you really enjoy it? For example, I really enjoy table design.
You enjoy what?
Table design.
Yeah.
I love developing with tables.
You can still do newsletters.
But what's yours? What's your famous or things that you love doing and you wish you could still do it today?
I can still do like one HTML file web page. I can still use only CSS. Don't have to use a preprocessor or reset or anything that's not, I think, relevant for my usage. So it's still easy to publish something. I think what I find fun is learning new things and try to like shape them before they are coming. I'm really like, there's these web workers, and I'm thinking what the marketing people will do with this. Because there's like infinite possibilities to display offline ads. Why not? Yeah. But tables, yeah, that was so great.
Do you think I've been hearing about low code?
Hello?
Low code.
Yeah.
Do you think that will really develop, or is it just a switch trend that will disappear?
You mean low powering code, like lighter
Like
code?
for people like me who never understood coding.
Yeah.
I'm more working in business analysis, so for me coding was always the dark part.
Yeah.
But I wanted sometimes to have my own projects, and I would like to have something easier for me to implement what I want without having to have someone working for me for coding. So I heard about low code.
Okay, so I don't know.
No.
Sorry, but there should be like tons of like tools to help you build a website, because of course you can make money of it, but yeah, still the core concepts are not that hard to learn, I think, but it's hard to take like perspective on that, of course, for me, yeah.
You said something about the web, all the technologies being still working today. Could you please go back to your website, to the slide
With the pop-ups?
Yeah.
I have it live if you want. I have it live.
Oh, amazing. Because my question would be, I saw there was some HTML version and Flash version. Why are you able to open the Flash version? Is the Flash still working, 19, somewhere?
So it was for the web course at the school. That was the project, just build your personal website. And we had this, you need to have it in Flash and in HTML. And I don't know if it's still working. Oh, a web browser. Ah. Responsive, yeah. So, pop-ups or full screen mode? Pop-ups. Ah! Yes. So, I didn't do the Flash website. So, I had an argument with the Flash teacher because I hated Flash already. But yeah. But I don't know if the full screen, yeah.
Full screen.
Yeah. But you have the closing button. Yeah. That was full screen at the time. And these are frames. And yeah, the screens were like this. Yeah.
Right.
Last question.
What do you think about the WebRTC? This is going to pick up, or is going to be something like creates a lot of waves, and then we basically see what happens with WebGL. Some
Yeah.
companies are using it a lot. It's not mainstream.
I don't know. I think that they are with the WebAssembly, WebRTC, they are gaining traction, and we just have to see, wait. But it could be like now it's implemented in some browser, and yeah, the real-time capability. I think it's needed. But I don't know how we will turn it in another thing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a. I think I tried only once with Jan, the WebRTC. Oh. Okay. I thought we tried this.
With some commercial way, maybe for digital out of home, stuff like that, broadcasting content in real time,
Yeah.
that in the browser, because using the browser now seems to be more mainstream in digital advertising. So maybe it's going to be good for that.
Yeah. They will push it.
Last question, and then we'll go.
What's your nightmare of the future of web?
This tweet, like there's 4 websites having 3 screenshots of each other. That's the yeah. And now, if we think of real estate of the web, of course, Facebook, Google, they are taking a lot of place, but they are at the same level as not localhost, but yeah, as this one. I mean, they are at the same level. They're a domain name with how do you say, top level domain extension, and everyone can come and compete. I think it's not closed. It's still open that way. At least, well, maybe the nightmare would be like I connect to internet via Facebook or Google. That would be an entrance to the nightmare.
Thank you. Right, so
Juste. Non. C'est un tout petit peu. Voilà, c'est bon, je quitte l'app.
that's the time for the quiz.
Je vais mettre.
Yeah, so we'll be quick because I'm trusty also. Someone left place count. I will explain the count how it works. So you will play with your phone. So you can, every one of you can go to the count.it website. If you don't have internet connection, we have a Wi-Fi right on your right. It's we love web with massive caps on W and L. It's Antistatique. Yeah. So how it works? Go to the count.it website. You will have a number, a password, PIN to enter. We'll give you later. And how it works is more like that. You'll have the question on the screen, and only on the screen, I will give you with all my fun part. I will read the question with you, I will read the answers, and you will have to choose on your screen with the colors or the shape. There's sometimes 4 questions, sometimes 3, sometimes 2. Some questions may have more than one good answer, but you just have to find one question. And it's all about quickness, because you will win more points if you answer quickly the question. And every question you answer correctly in a strike, you will gain some bonus. After every question, we will see the leaderboard, so you will see if you are first or second or third on the podium. And only the 2 people on the top of the leaderboard will win something tonight. So let's fight. So I give you you have the question. So you can start to cheat. Okay. So just use the settings. I don't know the settings. So this is you will see the pin right here, okay? So you can enter it.
Ooh.
Yeah, because we don't choose the naughty nickname beware. Okay, everybody is here. Someone says some issue to join. Maybe I will be in front of the question. It's on purpose. Okay, everybody is here? 32 people, it's possible? Wait, I see the number of players on the left. Okay, if I start right now, you can join. So, everybody is here, it's okay? Okay, let's start. So, 10 questions, 2 gifts. At the real web dinosaurs, which one define marks the best? Pterodactylus, Ankylosaurus, Gorgosaurus, or Diplodocus? I don't think I know every one of them. Oh, what? 5 seconds?
10.
Wow. Okay. Oh, Diplodocus.
You gotta be quick.
Why Diplodocus?
Yeah, that was the image.
I don't have time to see everything. Okay, next one. No, I don't want to. Who is Epicurus? Sir? Who is Proprietary? And who's Lively Zebra? Okay. Everybody have a chance for now, so Mighty Pigeon also. Let's start. Which dinosaur is Mark's favorite?
You just have to guess, I think.
Same as before, Gorgosaurus, Ankylosaurus, Diplodocus, Pterodactylus, okay. So, oh, still a fast one. Who's Bluegoose? And who is Smart Roster? Okay, next one, let's see. Who killed puppets? I would say people. ES7 smartphones at abuser. Window opens like that.
It's still working. I showed you. It still works.
Still working, you know. Oh, Apple back suggest. With Bluetooth. Okay, let's next one. With Fastbox. Next one. Which icon is not able to tell the weather? 3GS XZ. Linux icon 6S Press.
I didn't try the other one. That's the only one I tried. There.
Next one. How many screen options were available on Marc's personal homepage in 2014? I would say 2. I think it's 2. Really? 1,000. Okay, but I think you will win. Okay, next one. Which browser implements that protocol? Vehicle landscape, backer, Napster. I think it's backer. Someone say Netscape? Who's saying Netscape? Napster is not the browser. Okay, we have still. So I think knowing what may win, but it will be complex, because there is not like maybe 2 guesses still. Next one. Oh, 3 guesses. These are still faster than HTTP1. It depends. Process depends. How you implement it.
Silver hamster.
With silver hamster? Okay, next one. 2 question left. Anheritage. Oh, I don't say it. JavaScript is only for less concept to forget. Easy to implement.
Don't give your opinion. Just give mine. What? Who said that?
So, yeah, I think his friend said to react quickly. What? That's the It shows the answer. Blame the speaker. Whose life is that? May win. Okay. 5 player lost. Today's browser can display a 1996 website. Clearly not up Okay, so who wins what you will?
Tu peux.
With Blue Goose? With Blue Goose? You will going offline from Germany, we have the Low-Tech magazine, Low-Tech This is the better one. Congrats for your win. So you already know the low-tech magazine? No. It's a website powered by solar battery, and the website is not always online because it's powered by solar. So please go to congratulations. Thank you. Okay. So yeah, what's next? The next event will not be a show. It will be a BBQ at the VD Pyramid. So yeah, feel free to join us. It will be in August. We took the rules on the meetup website. I think it will be published after the mic session. So yeah. So now, if someone wanna go back, came here.
Once. You were in front of my leg.
Sorry. And right now, if someone wanna came here and say something, I don't know, you wanna hire someone, you're looking for a job, yeah?
You have a slide?
Yes, but I'm not sure it's the next one. Yeah, the next one's about to be.
Hello. I'm organizing a game jam. So it's the 6th edition. So it's been 6 years that we did this game jam. It is in Neuchâtel, but it is complete. So you cannot come to Neuchâtel. But you're welcome to take part from anywhere. You can just create the game. It starts on Friday. You can just create the game during the weekend and send it in the end on Sunday. It's a crazy game jam, so you have a lot of themes that you have to include in the game and some other stuff that are surprises. And yeah, it's fun. So if you want to create a game, you can do it alone or in teams and just submit it at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, maybe for those who don't know what's a game jam, it's about creating games. Because we don't really know. Don't panic.
That's only Antistatique at the open mic. We have a design newsletter that we release every month-ish. Who is a subscriber in the room? Okay, thank you. Not full from speaking. So we publish basically on UX design, graphic design, motion design, books, video games, UX research, some type design as well. So if you want to subscribe, we try to expand a bit. We are a bit stuck on the number of subscribers, so if you can share and motivate your friends or your colleagues to subscribe. Also send us feedback on the content would be nice as well.
Someone else?
Hi, I'm Matteo. We're co-sponsoring tonight's event with Tulip. And I'm really happy because we share the same values. It's an open source platform, completely free software, and agile, which are somehow our core values. And this platform allows developers to find their freedom again with respect to alternatives that exist. It allows you to do from requirements all the way to deployment, the full life cycle of application development. And so if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. You have free trials, you can download it for free, 100%. And we are unknown, but we have already a very solid customer base, usually very, very large companies, so the product is working, it's really answering for needs. And we're just trying to let people know because apparently our customers love it. So hopefully you love it too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And yeah, the last one but not the least. Please follow us on the YouTube because to enable some features we need to have more than 100 subscribers. And right now about maybe 8, 15 people.
So